Hello, good morning. Katie Tucker here. I am just going to make sure I'm going live in the right place. So it's Tuesday morning. It's 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time over here in New York. And I should be going live right now in our Healthy Lifestyle Journey group. So good morning, journeyers. Let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me, and if you are joining me live today. Okay, looks like I'm going live in the right place. Okay, great. So, good morning. So, last week we were wrapping up our Slim Down Jumpstart, and we had so much fun. Thank you so much if you participated in that. Thank you for spending your time with me. Thank you for asking your questions. Thank you for participating and creating action and taking those baby steps to getting to your goals. I really appreciate it because that is why I do this. I do this to help you, and it makes me sad when people aren't getting the help they need, and that's why I want to help people. So when you get the help you need, it makes me excited, and I'm assuming it excites you too. So today, this is our normal Tuesday training time, Tuesday with Mrs. Tucker. It's like the live show in our Facebook group. And so this is going to happen every Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern Time. And you can always catch the replays. And then I post them to the units section. So that's how I organize everything in the group so that you guys can find it. So if you go to the units tab, there's like discussion, my God, there's a bunch of tabs, basically, but units is one of them. And in the units section, there is a specific unit that says Tuesday with Mrs. Tucker. And that is where all of the Tuesday trainings get posted, so you don't have to go hunting for them. And if you have a specific question that you ask me, and I'm like, oh, I did a training about that, I'll tag you in that video, but that's also where you can go to see all the videos. So utilize the units tab. Okay, so this morning we are going to talk about cravings, because when a lot of you guys joined the group, I had a question about like what is it that I can help you with, and one of the two top topics or questions that were answered were about cravings. So I decided to make this training for you, all you guys that had questions about cravings. So say good morning to me as you are logging in if you're joining me live. Also say good evening or good afternoon or good middle of the night if you are joining me on the replay, and you can give me a hashtag replay. Let me know if you are still fired up and ready to get to your goals, because I hope so. I hope that you are just cranking that fire, cranking it up. Oh, good morning, Mindy. Good morning. Hi. I'm so excited that you're here with me live. Yay. Okay. So have you guys like ever stared at like the empty plate, the empty plate that wasn't empty before, or the bag of chips that is no longer full of chips, and thought like, how did this happen? I've gotten off the phone before and looked at a plate and was like, I don't remember eating anything. I don't remember making anything. I was on the phone. What happened? What happened while I was on the phone? Who made food? What was it that I made, and what did I eat? Like, apparently that was a very stressful conversation, and I had eaten a bagel. I didn't even know I ate it. Now I don't keep bagels in the house, but Mindy says Doritos. Yeah, things like that. That happens, right? So I kind of think we all can kind of relate to this idea of like, oh my God, like what just happened? What did I do? And besides driving you to eat when like you're not hungry, cravings can kind of like drive you insane, right? And they make you feel out of control and kind of like a failure sometimes. Now, guys know I don't love to use that word, but that can certainly be how we feel, and how we feel is always valid. Okay. You can feel like that, but I'm gonna keep teaching you things to help you not feel like that. So it could make you feel a little bit like an out of control failure, like who can't keep from like overindulging and making seemingly simple food choices that support your goals, right? And so I feel like we got to talk about this. We got to fix this. We got to solve this for you, okay? So I'm here to tell you that you are not powerless. You are not powerless against these urges. So even if it seems that way, you are not, and we're going to talk about that today. It's not about willpower or about cutting out all this stuff completely. If you were here during the Slim Down Jumpstart like a week ago, kind of 2 weeks ago because it was like a week and a half, then you know I love strategies, right? I'm going to keep teaching you strategies, and that there are realistic options available to us than just the, like, just don't eat that or be stronger, right? Like, don't you hate when people say that? You're like, oh, just cut that out. Like, well, if that was okay, if that was easy to do, I would do it, right? Or you gotta be stronger. Like, it makes me nuts. Like let's have a real plan of attack for it versus just, oh, you gotta be a little stronger. So today I'm going to teach you how to overcome your cravings by outsmarting them. All right, who's ready? Who's ready to overcome it and figure out how to outsmart their cravings? Let me know. So we're going to do that by understanding 3 things. All right. Number 1, why. 2, where. And 3, when the cravings occur. All right. And by creating a strategic action plan ahead of time. Yep, more planning. But that's how we get stuff done. That, you know, just like when you food prep or pack your lunch or do all that kind of stuff, like you're more successful. It's planning ahead. It's being conscious. It's being aware. It's being mindful of what you're doing. So just those little mindset shifts can really, really make a huge difference. So we're going to plan ahead, and we're going to understand these 3 things: why, where, and when our cravings occur, okay? So I'm going to show you 5, now we're up to 5, simple strategies to get you off that craving train or struggle bus or, I don't know, sinking ship or something, like for good, okay? So first we have to kind of dig down to like the root of our cravings, because nobody really is like kicking themselves over craving like a salad or a protein shake or like grilled chicken breast, right? Let me know what some of the foods that you do kick yourself over overindulging in, or because right, it's not a salad. It's not like, oh my God, I had a protein shake, I shouldn't have done that, right? What makes you feel like out of control? Okay, not like oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. Like, what did I do? I want to know what those things are. Let me know in the comments. So because most cravings that we have are really like they are tied. They're like fused to junk food normally, right? And they really have little to do with real hunger. Okay. Every time we indulge in these urges, what we're doing is we're reinforcing the behavior, okay? We're creating a craving cycle, okay? That can really, really hijack your progress and your sanity, okay? Oh, Mindy says processed carbs when I'm not in the right mindset. Totally. Processed carbs, I'm gonna share a lot about why these things happen, but definitely. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault that that's happening. It's what you're eating. That's what's creating it. And I'm going to talk more about that. And I totally relate to that. And I fall into that category too. So you don't worry. You are not alone. But I use these strategies to get past them, and you can use them too. And then just ask me questions when you're like, I don't know how to apply this. Let me know if that moment happens. Okay. So I talk about these moments often as hijackers because I feel like it's like the best analogy. So it's like you're going on a trip and you know where you're going and you're actively getting there because you're already on your bus or your train or your plane or your jet. And then like, bam, hijackers. They get on the plane and they just take it. Okay. And you have no control of the situation, which gives you that out of control feeling. and you don't know what they want, and you don't know why they're there, and you don't know where your plane is now going, and now you're like, I know nothing, and it's scary, and it's frustrating, okay? And that is like how the feelings that come up, okay? So the craving cycle, the cycle that happens. First comes the urge, which is like the craving, all right? Followed by a behavior, which tends to be like finding a food that satisfies that craving. And then the third thing is you get a reward, okay? And eating the food you want is the reward, all right? And that last part, the eating the food and getting the reward part, is accompanied by a release of dopamine, okay? Oh, hey, Pam, welcome. Thanks for joining. So when you eat those foods that give you those cravings and then you satisfy the craving with the food, then we get this dopamine release, okay? And it's giving your brain like this hit, like of pleasure, okay? And that instant gratification that we crave, like from our life and our day, like it's definitely like a drug, and it can be just as addictive. When people say that they're like sugar addicts, oh my God, I'm a sugar addict. Like if you have like friends that are, have you said it? This can easily be a very true statement. Like when people come to me and they say I'm a sugar addict, like I hear that. Like it's not a joke, and could totally be true, and it's a mental addiction as well as a physical addiction, okay? So like your body is like literally addicted to a substance, and the substance happens to be sugar versus what you would normally maybe think of as like an alcohol or a drug addiction. Like sugar is a drug, okay? And especially like all these like ultra refined and processed sugars, your body treats it like a drug, and you have these mood swings and hormone swings, and your sugar levels go like this, and your body is constantly trying to like level out. And that's why you get those up and downs, just like if you were addicted to like a recreational or, you know, like a drug, you would crave it and you'd want it, and then you'd feel better once you had it, and then you'd crave it, and then you're like, oh, I'm better now that I have it, because your body is trying to level it out, okay? So it's totally a real thing, okay? So once we get, oh wait, I had a side note because it just made me think of it. Just that this instant gratification that we're looking for, that we want to see, we often want to see that on the scale too, like instant gratification, and that's why we get so tied to the scale, when in reality we don't like have to get tied to it like that, and it, more than likely, like you'll be better off if you cut back on the instant gratification things that may derail you in regards to your health. And I did that whole video about not getting too tied to the scale. You can totally use the scale. I get on the scale, but I don't like look for instant gratification from the scale, because if I don't get it, then I'm sad, right? So we don't want to, we can look for instant gratification in other parts of our lives, but when health is like what we're really focused on, we want to like have other ways to be gratified from our successes. So once we get this dopamine hit, this instant gratification, we begin training our brain and our body that this is a good behavior, okay? When we really kind of all know that it's not a behavior that we want to reinforce and reward, right? That's why everyone's asking me about cravings, right? We don't want to reward this behavior, but when we do it, we do reward ourselves, right? So the more often your brain gets this reward, the more likely it is to stimulate the craving, and the stronger that craving is going to get, and it's going to become more and more frequent, okay? So we want to find the trigger. I'm telling you, there's a trigger. There is something. If we don't go straight to the craving, it's a link in a chain that could have happened up to 24 hours ago, okay? And I often ask clients, so what was they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to confess. I have to confess this thing that I ate. And I go, okay, let's find out why. Let's go work our way backwards. I don't really want to know all about that moment just yet. I want to know about the 24 hours before that happened, okay? Because often if you start recording this, I love data, right? You're going to find a pattern. So cravings are often brought on by environmental cues like sight, smell, taste, location, or your company, okay? So tracking when and where the cravings occur can help you figure out what is triggering them. So from there, you can adjust your environment and help you disrupt this craving cycle, okay? Oh, hi, good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Tina. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm so excited you guys are here. So we're talking about finding the triggers, okay? So for instance, like if you spontaneously turn into like a fast food place, like when you're driving and like you see McDonald's, okay? Let's just, if you don't like McDonald's, just put in your head like the other thing that you drive through, Dunkin' Donuts, something drive through, right? Very ultra processed food. They don't really have our health and best interests like at heart, okay? So we're driving down the road and then we like see the fast food place and we just turn in, right? And we weren't even thinking about food before that. It's not like lunchtime. It's not like, oh my God, I'm starving. Let me look for the fast food place. We just see it and we turn in. Has that ever happened to anybody? So that's like the visual cue, like, oh, like, and it creates the craving, what we didn't even have before we saw it, okay? Or like if you're in the grocery store and you pick up fried chicken, the minute you smelt it, you weren't hungry then either. You weren't thinking about it. You weren't planning on buying it, but you got in the vicinity and then you smelt it. And then like, oh, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it before I get, like I wonder if I have a piece before I check out, right? I know everyone has like probably like opened something before the checkout line, right? I've definitely drank a Diet Coke used to be like one of my big things. And I used to like finish that Diet Coke before I finished shopping. I'd be like, oh, here's my empty bottle. I gotta pay for it now. So these are like environmental triggers, okay? So each time you experience a craving, I want you to jot down the answers to these questions, okay? Ready for the questions you're going to ask yourselves? You might need to write it in the comments. You might need to jot it down on a piece of paper, or you might need to check this video out later and just fast forward to this spot. Okay, so what are you craving? Okay, is it a specific food? Is it a certain kind of flavor? Is it a texture? Because I know a lot of people always go for like crunch. People talk about crunchy foods all the time. Is it a crunchy thing? Is it a salty thing? What is it? Is it sweet? Where are you? Number 2. So I want you to notate your location, okay? But also like any smells or visual cues, like a restaurant billboard or a commercial, okay? Marketing is real. All right, there are real reasons these things happen, right? Like if you're in the restaurant and the fajitas come out and you can smell them and you can hear the sizzle on that thing, like, and you go, ooh, I want to buy that. I want to eat that, because you can smell it, you can see it, you can hear it. They got 3 right there, okay? That's how they sell more fajitas, okay? It's a real thing. That's why there's like a lot of research and a lot of people about, and why there's so many commercials, okay? So then what are you doing? Are you driving? Are you working? Are you watching TV? Were you cooking? Were you food prepping? What are you feeling physically? This is a big one too. Are you shaky? Are you lightheaded? Are you tense? Are you tired? Are you in pain? I find for me, one of my carb triggers is pain and fatigue. If I'm really sleepy, and often it goes a little bit, it's much stronger when it's both of those feelings together, tired and in pain. Like, I don't know if you guys know, like I have very loose joints and they kind of like fall out of alignment. And once I had, both my shoulders were kind of like out, and I go to chiropractors and like they pop them back in. They're big pops. But I could not, for the life of me, I was like, my God, my shoulders, oh my God, like this one hurt more and this one hurt a little less. And I was like, oh, I just want to eat like all the things. I want a bagel and I want a sandwich and I want a pasta and I want to feel better. And I was tired and I was like, oh, and that was the day I realized, okay, if I'm really sleepy and in pain, I crave these things. And just knowing that gave me a lot of power. It gave me a lot more control, because then I can go, oh, let me call right now and make an appointment for my chiropractor and let them check on my shoulders. Maybe they're out again. Maybe they need to be realigned. Sure enough, that was very helpful. So I took a leave at that moment that I realized this, and then I had a cup of coffee, because I was like, let's fix the tired and the in pain in the moment, because then maybe my craving will go away. And it did. It was very helpful. So that's the what are you feeling physically. What are you feeling emotionally is another question to ask. Are you happy? Are you cranky? Are you feeling really rushed? What are you thinking? For example, I might as well eat this. Like, I've already blown my diet. Is that like the mindset that we're in right now? And who are you with? Be really specific about who you're with, because don't we all have that friend that we're like, oh, we're gonna go for coffee, and then that turns into like a diner, which turns into disco fries. Oh, shout out to New Jersey Diner and Disco Fries. I grew up in New Jersey. So don't you know, we all have those friends that, like, when we get together with those friends, like, we eat certain things. And then we have some other friends that we like, oh, like when people get around me, sometimes they're like, oh, well, Katie's going to want to go eat healthy stuff. So like we're going to eat salads and we're going to do better, or whatever it is. Like, it could go either way with your friends. But right, it's very specific, the food sometimes that you eat around certain people. So these are all the questions I want you to be asking yourself, okay? And big point, this isn't a one-time exercise. You're not going to solve it once. Okay, we're going to have to repeat this process to get the results you're looking for. Just like we don't lose all of our weight in a day or fix all of our health numbers all at once. It's a journey, which is why our group is our Journey Lifestyle group. Okay, so you're going to have to try this for a few weeks, but then you're going to know. You're going to gain so much data and so much information. Okay, So the few weeks is going to give you enough data to actually find the pattern that is happening. And I know we all want the instant gratification, but there is no pill to give you this, get you these results that could speed time up for you to figure out all this stuff. And you're going to be so happy that you did it, I promise. Okay. So yeah. You're going to be much happier. You're going to be so much happier when you figure out the triggers, okay? Because you're going to notice them. You're like, oh, and then you're going to use these strategies I'm going to talk about to solve them. But you got to kind of know why they're happening and catch it first. Okay. So, and that, people were talking about confidence, like during the jump start. And this is a great way to build your confidence around these trigger foods or situations as well, okay? And you're going to use these strategies, and you're going to take back control of the plane, and you're going to kick the hijackers off the plane, or you're never going to let hijackers are going to be knocking, and they're going to try to get in, but that big lock on that plane, we're not going to let them in. Just not going to let them on the plane, okay? That's what we're going to do. So we're going to change our patterns, okay? So let's say you tend to reach for ice cream like an hour after dinner every night. So according to your notes, you now know that you're not really hungry. You're just craving something sweet, salty, or crunchy. Okay? And it could be a combination of all three of these things. Or perhaps you've noticed that every day at like 2 p.m., after your conference call, you kind of saunter over to the cafeteria, just to see if there's anything new. And there's not. We knew there wasn't any. We knew before we head over there that there wasn't going to be anything. But somehow you've ended up with like that big cinnamon roll, or it's like with a coffee, that 2 p.m. crash. And now you've like got this 500 calorie like treat. that you didn't even want, you weren't hungry for, you weren't like, oh my God, I gotta get that cinnamon roll. Like you weren't even like, you didn't walk to the cafeteria with something in mind. You've just identified a pattern, okay? So now you can disrupt this cycle with these smart like behavioral strategies that we're gonna look at. So you guys ready for the 5 strategies? If someone wants to list them in the comments, I think that'd be awesome and super helpful. And because there's like a whole lot to get through today, if you guys have questions, please put them in the comments or post them in the group, and I will certainly come back and get to them. I have a whole bunch of sessions after this, and that is why I don't want to slow us down. And after all my sessions, when I get a little break in the middle, then I will come back and I will answer all your questions. So, all right, strategy number 1, here it is. Press the pause button. Love this strategy. It's giving your cravings a timeout. All right. Number 1, press the pause button, or you can think of it as a craving timeout. All right. So yes, the strategy that's traditionally used with like willful toddlers can also work with chips and chocolate. So here's what you're going to do. When you notice the feeling before you stand up, or let your hand like touch the cabinet door, you know, the pantry, or like the freezer if we're going for like something ice cream, or all those frozen treats that you put in the microwave, right? It could be the freezer handle. Before that happens, you're going to notice the urge, and you're going to sit with it for 5 minutes. All right. You can, in the beginning, you might need a timer. All right, because that 5 minutes might feel a little long. All right. I want you to sit with the feeling before taking action. All right. It's a timeout. All right. My mom used to make him sit on the step, bottom step, 5 minutes. So if you need to even sit somewhere specific to have the timeout, that might work too. All right. It's not about exercising willpower. It's about pausing just long enough to let your conscious brain say, hello, excuse me, like I'm in charge of this plane. I am the pilot, and we need to make a decision about this. Okay. This gives you the chance to evaluate all your options and make like a slower, calmer, rational, conscious decision rather than a reactionary one. Okay, so it's about being proactive and not reactive. Does that make sense? Yes, thank you. Press the pause button, sit with the feeling. We want to be proactive instead of reactive. Okay, so during this 5-minute pause, you're going to ask yourself, are you actually hungry? All right. Or are you bored or stressed or procrastinating? Does a steak or baked burrito sound good? Baked burrito, baked potato, burrito, baked potato. Does that sound good? Or is it just the donuts, you know, in the break room that are getting to you? You want to ask yourself these questions and attempt to figure out and take back control. All right. And remember, you always have options after pressing pause. All right. The exercise is to press pause. That's what it is. All right. It's not about not eating it. We're just taking that moment to get the conscious brain involved. Okay. So maybe you are actually hungry and you do need a meal, okay? Or you learned in this pause like about a new trigger, but you weren't quite ready to take the next step and you ate the junk food stuff anyway. That's okay. Okay, guys? It's okay. You're learning. We're learning here, okay? We're making progress and it's just the journey, all right? So even if you push pause and then eat whatever the junk is that you wanted, please don't consider this a failure, okay? Because we're always able to learn from our mistakes and maybe like less than awesome decisions, okay? We're gonna get there, but that might not be where you're starting, okay? So while we work to break down like our craving cycle, you're not going to be perfect, all right? It's not about perfection. I've talked about that before, right? It's definitely never 100%. Like the best I'm really hoping for is like 90%, 90% perfect, all right? We just want an A. And by using these strategies, you get an A, all right? Just by using them, Okay, it doesn't mean right away you're gonna have the outcome, the perfect outcome. We're gonna work on it. So give yourself like a pat on the back for pushing pause and taking 5 minutes. But here's the really important part. You don't have to choose between giving into your cravings or depriving yourself, okay? There's a space in between the two, and that's where you can really break the craving cycle down. And this idea goes back to thinking on a continuum, and I did a lesson on that. It's in the unit section, and I think it's called something about like all or nothing. Breaking the all or nothing cycle, something like that. And you can always start by thinking of what is a healthier option in the same ballpark as the thing that you wanted, okay? So like an upgrade. It's not quite the best decision just yet, but it's better, okay? So maybe instead of like this ultra processed, individually packaged, right? Like the individually packaged stuff really stops us from eating just one brownie. You bake your own from scratch, or and not from the box, not from a bake in the box kind of still ultra processed one. It will still be a brownie, and I'm not even talking about like they have super healthy brownie recipes where like you make them with black beans, which I gotta tell you, the black bean recipes with a little bit of the peppermint, I don't know why the mint or the peppermint really matters, but it seems to, because then it doesn't taste like black bean anymore and it tastes like a brownie, and the consistency is awesome. So I'm not even talking about going that far. Okay, we're just talking about like still having a straight up brownie, but now we've eliminated a lot of chemicals and a lot of preservatives that were in the I don't even, what are those brands? The Ding Dong, no, that's not a brownie. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Things that come in boxes. trying to get you away from the box stuff a little bit. Okay, so but basically pressing pause and then making a decision consciously about what you're gonna do is strategy 1. Even if you still eat the thing, all right? You're still going to wait 5 minutes and then decide to eat the thing while learning something during those 5 minutes. And you can take notes, okay? Strategy number 2. You're going to choose an activity that does not involve chewing, okay? So what happens if you step away from the freezer and like go for a walk? Or maybe like you could clean up the photos in your camera roll, because I know we all have like 3,000 pictures in our phone's camera roll, and we took 17 of the same moment, and we took a bunch of our dinner and we tried to get it in a bunch of different angles, and then we tried it with filter, and that, right, we don't need them all. We could totally distract ourselves by cleaning up the camera roll. Or maybe you make a new Spotify playlist, or you go look up let's say like a YouTube playlist of workouts. That could be a moment right there to do that. All right. So you're immersing your mind or your body in an activity long enough, and that you may run the urge like all the way out of your system. Okay. Because cravings are often psychological rather than physical. A lot of times we're not hungry, right? We kind of know that. Like, yeah, I just want it. Right? We're trying to solve that. So we know it's not often about being, sometimes it is, and in that pause, you might find that you're hungry, and then you go eat dinner, go have a meal versus go have a donut. So with the exception of like very strong like grief or trauma, intense feelings don't usually last longer than 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so if you're not really hungry, the cravings will most likely dissipate after 15 to 20 minutes. So you've probably experienced a form of this like diversion therapy before. So have you ever like got so like wrapped up in a project that you forgot to eat lunch, or the afternoon like totally flies by and you didn't even think about having that after lunch snack? Like you're busy. You're just like super busy. You have a lot to do. You're totally immersed in it. Okay. This is like the same concept, but we're going to do it on purpose versus by accident. Okay. So number 2 is choosing an activity that doesn't involve chewing. So once you sense that craving coming on, you're going to choose an activity and really dig into it, like commit to doing this activity. You can always have something after the activity, okay, if you still remember. So it could be working on a project that you're really passionate about. It could be crossing an item off your to-do list, because we all love, that's an instant gratification that like we can totally get on board with that instant. I love, check, cross it off. You can respond to like a few emails. You can call a friend. You can play an instrument. You can play a video game. Maybe it's going for a walk with your dog, because I know all the dogs are like, oh, COVID, what's COVID? Why are we walking all the time? Well, go for another walk. It could be like a coloring page in an adult coloring book. Does anyone have the adult coloring books? I bought a couple. You could be exercising. It could be doing something physical. It could be like gardening, or it could be like cleaning, right? We're always like a closet to clean. That might be a longer activity. Depends on like how crazy your closets are. It could be cleaning out a drawer, one drawer, Remember, you're looking for an activity to occupy your brain and your body, okay? So while different activities may work, they could work different. Everyone's going to have their own thing that works best. Don't just pick one thing and say it didn't work, okay? I just gave you like a list of 10 things. Like try something and then try another thing. Try a few things on this strategy if you're working on this strategy. And just remember that watching TV probably won't help, and it's often a trigger for your cravings instead. There are like way too many food commercials, and even if it's like a movie or something without commercials, you're really not kind of occupying both your brain and your body enough for this particular strategy to work, okay? So that was strategy number 2. Strategy number 3. You guys liking these? Are we having fun? All right, strategy number 3 is try an experiment, okay? So we talked a lot about experiments in our jumpstart. So hunger and cravings tend to come in waves. They kind of rise and fall throughout the day, and it helps to understand how this feels, okay? So that's why I do suggest healthy clients, so clients that I get that don't have pre-existing health conditions and don't have diabetes, to try a fasting experiment, okay? So generally this is done for 24 hours. You could pick less if you've never done any kind of fasting before. But basically for 24 hours or less, you don't eat, all right? I definitely remind them to stay very well hydrated though, okay? You definitely need to be drinking water. You can have coffee and tea and whatever. And so, some are afraid that they'll be starving all day. You want me not to eat all day? But that's not normally what happens, interesting enough. That's why it's an experiment, and it's something to test and try. And yes, you're going to get hungry, and you're going to get cravings, but it's so interesting that these feelings come and go. And for many folks, it can be very, very eye-opening and empowering. And it gives you in a sense, like if the fasting forces you to kind of lean into the urges and like accept that it's okay to feel hungry and what the hunger actually feels like. Like, what are your hunger cues? What are your symptoms of hunger? And like, do they waste away? No. Do they collapse and pass out from exhaustion? No, because we're talking about the healthy clients that don't have like a sugar issue or imbalance. And the world doesn't end, okay? So again, this isn't about testing your willpower or denying yourself. It's about refreshing your perspective on hunger and cravings, and it helps reduce the anxiety, the discomfort, and the urgency you feel in the moment of hunger or cravings. It gives you a new view and mindset on this stuff. And we're just talking like one day, okay? And maybe it's 12 hours, or 18 hours or something. Can you get to dinner or something like that? And you'll also learn about like what those cues are, how they feel physically, how you feel mentally, and when you have that first meal after like a fast, what it feels like to not be hungry anymore, which is also a eye-opening experience too, because I think what happens a lot of times is people are eating to feel full instead of eating to be no longer hungry. All right. Does that make sense? that people are eating to be full. And once you stop feeling full, then you think you're hungry. When in reality, you're just not full anymore. Okay, it's not necessarily time to eat yet. And this will help you learn what hungry feels like. And that's, I think, is why overeating happens so frequently. So that's just a strategy number 3. Strategy number 4 coming at you is eat the right foods during the day. Okay, so though cravings can happen at any time of day, nighttime cravings and overeating are very, very, very common. All right, and a lot of you guys mentioned staying up late at night and eating and feeling those cravings then. All right, let me know in the comments if that's making sense, like if that was you. Okay, so it's very common, and it's what a lot of people mentioned when they joined the group. So as a nutrition coach, I don't necessarily like to tell people exactly when to eat or like how many meals that they have to eat. You don't have to do anything ever. Whether it's like 3 times a day or 6 times a day, like it's totally up to you. And the same goes for whether you like to eat earlier in the day or later in the day. Okay, that's what works best for you too. So as long as it's working, like fair game. All right, like I'm a person that doesn't eat breakfast in the morning. I eat like a late breakfast or like lunch, like at like 11 or 12. But that's because that's what works best for me, and that's what my day tends to dictate, because I don't end my day until after 8, and then I eat dinner later. We could talk about timing meals at another time. But basically, whatever works for you is fine. All right. And if you have questions about that, you can post them in here or in the group as well. So over the years, I've discovered that clients who overeat at night, though, are often restricting their intake throughout the day. Okay, so sometimes it's knowingly and sometimes it's unknowingly. Since weight loss is often the goal, we've kind of been trained to eat like so much less to lose, right? So for example, you might be skipping breakfast and then having a salad for lunch with like no protein on it, like just all greens, no even vegetable proteins there either. And so by dinner, you could even still be making really great choices, like they're high in fiber, high in protein, high in healthy fats, but your appetite is already like in overdrive because you didn't have breakfast and you didn't have any protein at lunch. You just had like this small side salad or something. Then you made a healthy choice for dinner, but now you're still starving, right? And so like no wonder you're feeling like all cravey and ravenous before bed, right? We didn't eat enough during the day. So focusing on what you eat during the day matters, okay? And the 2 things I want you to start focusing on during your day, if you fall into the eat everything at night category, is fiber and protein, okay? I want you to start thinking and focusing on eating fiber and protein throughout your day, okay? No matter what your goals are. If you're overeating at night, let's look at this. So fiber, especially lower calorie vegetables, those are awesome, okay? It helps you fill up, and the protein keeps you fuller between meals, and this makes eating a combination of these nutrients in sensible portions and at regular intervals key for regulating your appetite throughout the day, okay? Sorry, the computer's not supposed to give me alerts while I'm doing this. It's giving me alerts. Okay, so even small adjustments to your eating habits, such as adding like a daily breakfast with a healthy dose of protein and veggies, along with reasonable amounts of smart carbs and healthy fats throughout the day, can really, really help curb that after dinner eating, okay? So if you were like have just a vicious nighttime appetite, I want you to look at what you're eating the rest of the day, all right? You'll probably find if you do a better job of nourishing your body throughout your day and throughout your earlier meals, that you won't be giving the hijackers control to come for those post-dinner snack time hours, okay? All right. I hope that makes sense. Yes, thank you. Fiber and protein throughout the day. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, we can. I could talk about fiber and protein all the time. Because I'm always telling people, just go for more veggies and more protein. If you're still hungry, eat some more of that, okay? These are the things that are going to help you not be hungry. When you go for more bread and more carbs, it makes you not hungry just for that moment. It doesn't keep you full, okay? It's just an instant gratification moment, okay? I talked about carbs. You can still eat carbs, but they're not the most important thing. Okay, we want to have high fiber, lots of veggies, and high protein, okay, in comparison to the carbs, all right? So you still get to eat them, though, okay? So here's our fifth and final strategy. You're going to indulge your cravings, but under the following conditions, all right? We get to indulge. So this is going to tie back to the living inside a continuum as well. We don't want to live in the all or nothing land. Okay, this is not a lifestyle that I think serves you, and it's not a thought process that's been serving you either. Okay, we need to think about things differently than we did in the past before we found this new way of thinking and this new way of living, and before we found the group. It's okay that you did before, but we're gonna shift it. Okay, so if you're really craving a chocolate bar, right? Okay, have one. We're all gonna like the strategy, right? Okay, have one. But I want you to choose the pricey chocolate, all right? That high quality, organic, dark chocolate bar, okay? That one that you have to go make a special trip to the store for, all right? Then you're gonna eat it slowly and mindfully, and you're gonna chew each bite and just savor it. Suck on it, breaking it up into little pieces, like really get in there. Love it. Make love to the chocolate bar. I want you to really experience it, okay? I want you to smell it. Don't do it in like a commercial break in front of the TV. Do it away from the TV and savor and enjoy that chocolate bar, okay? Because you deserve it and you want it to be satisfying and you don't want to go and have 5 more, all right? We want the one to fulfill the craving, all right? Okay, so clients are always telling me that they eat far less of the chocolate or any crave food really when they eat it this way, this slowly, mindfully way. They're like, oh yeah, that totally helped me satisfy my craving, and I ate less. I ate less of that junk food item, okay? And research also shows the same thing. So Krista Scott Dixon, she's the director of the curriculum at Precision Nutrition, where I'm certified, and she tells her clients that they can have any snack that they want. I love this one. They can have any snack that they want, but it has to be purchased right before eating from a grocery store that's at least 15 minutes away. So I love using this strategy and tactic on myself. Now, in all honesty, my stores are closer to me, and they're not a full 15 minutes away, but I will make a separate trip to go out and get the item that I'm craving or that I want. But before I plan on having it, I'm not just picking it up with the regular grocery shopping. I'm not let me just grab all this stuff and have it in the house, right? We gotta be ooh, I'm gonna have this on this day. I'm gonna go make a special trip to go get it. So that tactic really works well, and it's one that I use. And another coach, Dominic Mateo, he's a precision nutrition coach, and he uses a similar method with his clients, but his is a little more dramatic, and it might work for you. And I do tend to use a similar thought with my clients. It's not at all the time every time strategy for me, but it kind of goes like this. You get to eat it, but you have to make it. Okay, so let's say if you wanted potato chips, you'll have to slice actual potatoes, and you have to cook it maybe in the air fryer. Cake needs to be baked in the oven. Ice cream needs to be churned and frozen. And it sounds totally impractical, right? and that's the point. The point is it's impractical, because that might be what you need. You might need to work that hard to have that snack to help break that cycle for some people. That might be the thing that works for you. So I wanted to make sure, like, I gave you a whole slew of things to try. So doing it this way, like, really helps answer the question, like, how hungry are you really? All right. Besides, this is exactly what people have to do or had to do for, like, most of human history, right? The convenience and, like, all the crap and, like, all the additives and the overly processed foods, they're what's led us to be overweight, like, as a country and, like, as a society. And we can, at the very least, we can put an end to feeling and staying in this cycle that we didn't even know was happening, right? We didn't even know this was an issue when we were younger. And we can take control of our health and our cravings today and tonight even. If you're the nighttime craving person, you can start this morning and work on some of these strategies and test them out and see what works tonight for you. Okay, we can start right now. So the one important thing to consider for all of these strategies, though, here it is they work a lot better if your pantry or your office desk or your nightstand, your next to your bed, if they aren't already full of the ready-to-eat temptations. Okay, so Bernardi's first law, the co-founder of Precision Nutrition, where I was trained, John Bernardi, he has a few laws. And so the first law is, I'm only going to share one of them, don't worry. If a food is in your house or possession, either you or someone you love or someone you marginally tolerate will eventually eat it. All right? If you have it, eventually someone's going to eat it, whether it be you, someone you love, or someone you even just tolerate. All right? So best thing is to get rid of the stuff in the house and in your bubble, basically, in your Corona bubble. we want to get rid of the temptations and then plan how we're going to work on the cravings. And the cravings, we know we could go out and get the item. I'm not saying you can't go get it, but it's not right there to grab and eat. It's not like, so don't make it so easy. Don't make it so easy to keep the cycle going. All right? You can go pick up the chips. I'm not saying you can't. And I'm not saying you can't make chips either. And I'm not saying you can never have cake, right? That we want to be realistic. These things are in our lives and you can keep them in your lives. But these are some strategies you can use to battle the cravings. We can eat cake without having to crave it all the time. All right. I want to help you feel better mentally and physically. And we're going to do that by getting rid of the craving part of it. So you can keep eating these items in your life and while you reach your goals, but we're going to try to break the cycle of the craving, of the out of control part, okay? So I thank you so much for spending your morning with me or your evening, your time. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I love you. I'm here for you. I'm honored that you are joining me on this journey. I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments or post them in the group and I will get back to you. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of Tuesday with Mrs. Tucker. And I will see you all in the group and I will see you next week. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.